Hey there, this is Steve Cramer, the Business Librarian. This video shows you how to access U.S. market data.
Let's get to a page that links to those three sources. So from the campus homepage, we will go to the library's homepage. And from here, research guides by subject. And this time, let's use entrepreneurship. And under databases, you'll see on the left side, contents including markets, which includes SimplyMap, DemographicsNow, and American FactFinder. Let's begin with American FactFinder from the Census. This is free and provides a nice, pretty easy way to get started, at least with some basic numbers. And for example, let's look at population, and here's the total number, and we can dig deeper into population by age, by male versus female, by race, and other categories. And you saw there's also options like for income data, although here you just get a number on top and you have to dig down to this link and then scroll down a ways to find the income breakdowns, which is here. But still, it's a nice, free, easy way to get started for demographic data. However, a couple things you won't find here at all. You will not find any consumer spending data, nor will you find any psychographic data. But I'll show you how we can get that using databases like DemographicsNow and SimplyMap in just a minute. But for getting started, for basic numbers, for population, income, for example, it's a nice source. This time, let's try DemographicsNow. This is a library database, so we pay for this. It includes both public data, but also privately conducted data. Let's go into demographics, and the default location is the entire US, and you can change this in a couple different ways. One way is to click on Edit, where you can choose any combination of different places, and it ranges from small neighborhoods, which are black groups, up to states and everything in between. Some of these places, or some of these categories, are urban areas like CBSAs and DMAs. I'm instead, though, going to just do a keyword search. And you could search for a city or a county or also a zip code. Let's say, for example, we are trying to find detailed apparel spending data for Greensboro zip code 27410. So I'm going to search for that. And there we go. Here's our location. And now we have the default category, age by sex, and we can open up the summary list. If we were comparing places, which you can do, you can pick multiple locations and compare them or rank them. You can use those two buttons for that. But now we're going to stick with summary and open up this list here and notice the different categories, including this cluster of CEX categories. And CEX stands for the Consumer Expenditure Survey, which is the government survey of consumption, including in this case by apparel. And here we go. We have some more general data here on top, including some broad apparel spending data. But beneath that, we have detailed data for women, girls, men's, and boys, etc. And just for example, women's coats and jackets, the average 2010 household spending was $98.04. And you can see projections 2015, and then some percentages to compare to apparel as well as just to total spending. So a very easy way to get some detailed spending data. There's other categories here too for spending, but also the more general demographic categories are available. And for example, we can look at income data, or for example, a nice demographic trend summary, in which you'll see a combination of different data for the zip code. Any data on screen you can download in three ways: PDF, Excel, or Word. And there's more you can do in this database than that, but that's a good introduction to DemographicsNow. Our last resource will be SimplyMap. You can log in as a guest, but you really should create your account. It's short. They don't send you emails. It's good. And once you do this, it saves your searches. You can make variables, favorites, and you can share your results with teammates. So go ahead and make an account. It'll be a good way to save time. Now, I'm not going to show you how everything works here. It would take a long time to do that. And there already are some help videos provided by the SimplyMap itself. But what I wanted to show instead is simply what you can do with this, as well as some very basic exploration suggestions. So I'm going to try to keep this kind of short. You can see here we have a map with different colors representing different zip codes. You can change the level of geography, and I'll do this in a minute. And currently we're looking at a very kind of esoteric category of interest in participating in yoga. This is from a search I did last spring for a student team from ENT 300. And let's zoom in a little bit tighter. And you'll see that streets show up eventually. And now let's change the level of geography to block groups. Block groups are the smallest census geographies. They typically are about 1,500 people in a neighborhood that seems to be somewhat similar in terms of their economic social status. And therefore you can get very detailed geographical distinctions through this, even though there's not a whole lot of variety in the numbers here given the nature of geographic activity. And you can download maps as images using the export map option up here. And any map you have can be turned into a table as well. And for example, under actions for any map, you can choose make ranking from map. So if you want to see the actual precise numbers, whether it's number of people or percentage, as in this case, you can generate these reports, in this case ranked by zip codes. Nice way to go from a map with colors as the content to a table with numbers as your main content. In addition to making these ranking tables based on maps, you can also just create reports using the report button up here. And I already have one example where I've chosen 5 different cities and 4 variables regarding income and wine. So any data that's covered in this system through maps can also be generated as tables, which you can export into Excel as well as other formats. And finally, let me briefly talk about the variables list. You can see a bunch of different categories, which in some ways sort of sums up our video today. Census data, full demographic, income, housing, racial data, all available. There's many thousands of codes available in some detail through some of these categories. Also, just a couple more highlights from the list here. Consumer expenditures. This is great stuff because it gets really detailed. And for example, a lot of car students use this to find detailed spending data by zip code or by neighborhood or by county. And you can see many different categories, both average spending and total spending within the chosen geographical area. And final highlight here is the very comprehensive MRI package. The Yoga data comes from this package. MRI is Medium Mark Research. They do private survey data. So this is privately conducted psychographic and behavioral data covering media and products and retailing and other categories, and extremely detailed stuff. And typically a lot of the data I end up helping students with comes from these kind of categories, whether it's pet ownership or how often do you go to certain kinds of restaurants, which would be under restaurants category. Just for example, how often do you or people in this neighborhood go to Logan's Roadhouse? And certainly you can browse like I've been doing, but typically I start by searching, and this will give you a good sense of what data exists as long as you can get a good keyword match, whether it's spending money on whiskey or likelihood to drink Irish whiskey or rye whiskey. So searching works well. In general, if you have any problems with this, let me know. It's not the easiest database to use, but it's also kind of fun once you get used to it. And so please let me know if I can help you using SimplyMap or DemographicsNow or FactFinder.